Hello everyone, George here, and here we are in a one-off video where I need to do something for work, and I figured why not create a video showcasing how I'm actually doing it. So what I'm doing is making a popcorn stand. So the job I'm doing right now for work, we do this fly-through of an architectural rendering. At the end of it, we end up at a theater. And what we wanted to do was go inside the theater, but however, due to time constraints and other things, we just can't do that. So instead, the decision was to put the popcorn venue or whatever this thing is outside right in front of you, and you fly up to it. And what we have is one of those fanless or bladeless Dyson fans. And what these folks that we're working with want to test is the impact of aroma on your perception of the architectural renderings and how you feel about the situation. So we're going to spritz the spray and some sort of an oil that has the smell of popcorn, basically, buttered popcorn, into the area while you fly into this place. And so you get not only the visual sensation of seeing this object, but you also get the, the aroma, the smell of it. And we're going to see whether or not that has any impact, basically. But I need to create one of these models for us to have anything visual to show to begin with. So why don't we go ahead and start? So I'm going to go probably with one of these red ones. Something maybe like this one. That looks like a pretty good reference. Let's go and see if I can't open this image up by itself. See, I love sometimes with these older websites because they'll have this little tiny thumbnail right here and it links to this giant image. And I'm right now at 4K, so it's a pretty big image for 4K. Okay, so what I am going to do is take this off screen. I got two other monitors and put that over there so I have something to look at. And let's just go ahead and start. So I'm going to move the UV stuff off to the side. Let's go to File. Let's check our projects. I'm kind of having to move around here around this webcam. I've never done a webcam like this before. It's the first time for everything. We're in the right project, File. We're in probably the fine scene as well. I'm just going to start modeling it, I think. So the first thing we need is probably the box. So frame up on that after we create a primitive using polymodel toolbar up here. So there we have our box. From what we can see here, the box, it's pretty much a square right here at the bottom. It's got some sides here that kind of jut out. I'm not going to worry about, obviously this is just a piece of metal that's been bent on its sides and it's very thin. I might not worry about that so much. We got the handle over here, which is going to be a cylinder with those spokes over there. We got the legs coming out, legs over there, and then we got some wheels. So let's start getting to work. Let's see. Let's do... How do I want to do this? Insert Edgeloop Tool, I guess, and we'll do two maybe, and just stretch them out to the sides. We're going to kind of wing this part right here, and then I'm going to hit the G key to, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's keep that, please. Now I want to grab the object. I'm going to hit the G key, and that is not doing what I wanted to do. I'm going to shift right-click, insert Edgeloop Tool again. We're going to come at it from the other side. Now we've got our legs that can come out the bottoms. And yeah, let's just grab the legs for now. What I will do is extrude them down. Oh, my gizmo's huge. I'm going to use the minus key on my keyboard to make them smaller. And we'll pull the legs somewhere around there. That's probably a good place to start. Although, it's looking like this isn't quite a square. This looks like it's going to be a little bit lower than the rest of it. So I'm going to pull that down just a tiny bit. Why don't we go ahead and get our wheels up in here as well? So we're going to want some cylinders or some rings or something to work with that. We can go with the torus if we want to. We're going to need to modify this. So let's go over here. We've got our subdivisional axes as well as our radius. Let's get this thing rotated properly first. So I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. There we go. So what do we want? We've got our radius and we've got our section radius. I don't use this tool very often, so let's see what happens. So section radius, that's not what I was expecting it to be. So let's see what else I can mess with. So there's our overall radius. So if we do 0.8, right? So what happens if I do 1? Okay, obviously that's not good. So 0.1. There we go, that's what I want. So section radius needs to be a smaller number to make this actually work. We've got probably way too much detail for what we're going for. So let's look here. So we got our subdivisional axes and our heights. Our heights are way too high, I think, right? Yeah, so something closer to 10 is probably good enough. Although, I'm trying to think, yeah, if I do that, I can cut the UVs going that way, so that's probably fine. 20 for the actual ring structure might be okay. I'm going to go ahead and scale this down a little bit more. It's going to be a little thinner than that, so 0.075, enter. Now that I've got something close, I'm going to just now scale it manually. bring this down somewhere over here, come in, hit the space bar, come in from the side, zoom in, hit F, and take a look at it right here and see this is still too much. So I'm going to do 0.05, enter, and that's thinner, even better. And just going to try to stick this someplace that is pretty much where I expect it to go, which is probably right around there. I'm going to grab the legs that are here and also bring them up just past that center point as if they're connecting via some sort of a spoke, or, you know, a cylinder that's going to go between the two of them. An axle is what I'm desperately trying to say. And these are going to go on the outside, it looks like. So I'm just going to move this out to the outside somewhere around there. And, trying to see if there's anything else that I'm desperately missing here. I mean, obviously, there's an inner part to this entire thing. So if I want to, we can try to do something like this. Let me see. Grab that one and this one by double-clicking. I'm going to go ahead and let's not grow. Let's do an extrusion. I'm going to extrude and pull inwards. And that's going to be the rim. So this outer part is the black tire part. This inner part is the rim. And then, of course, we're going to need some sort of a spoke going back and forth. The spokes themselves, we might want to just go with a texture for this. I don't want to add a ton of geometry to this object. We're not going to get that close to these things, so... Not sure yet. We're going to think about it. Anyway, so there's that. Let's go back up to this popcorn box up here, and I keep looking off to the side. Maybe I should move it over here so I'm actually kind of facing the camera instead. But I keep looking at the reference material. So, you know, you've got a light thing there for the wheel. We should probably go ahead and take our cylinder in here and make our axle. So let's rotate this 90 degrees. We're going to reduce the number of subdivisions on this, probably to something like 10. And I'm just going to use scale now to actually make things work properly. I'm going to move that somewhere around here. We're going to come on from a side view, frame on up, and whoops, F please, there we go. And I'm going to just kind of snap this into place by using the top and the bottom verts to get that in the right location. And now I can go ahead and scale that down someplace like that. And we can see now we do have a little bit of a problem here. This isn't perfectly centered with that. One way we can handle that is by going to Shift, right-click, and going to Multi-Cut Tool. I'm going to hold down Control, and let's see, I'm going to go to the center point of this, right about there. And now I can grab this thing and move this to the center point of that. Now that I have this center point set to this object, I can use this object now as a center point for this one there, and now things should be good. So I'm going to move this up a little bit, obviously someplace like right there, and I'm also going to grab the bottom of this now and move it up a little bit. That's probably going to end up getting beveled at some point in the future to make it look proper, but we don't need to worry about that now. We're going to zoom this out, I think, and I think I'm just going to... This obviously needs to be thinner, so let's do that first. Something like that, maybe. Just goes right through like that. And then there's the connection from this piece to this outer piece. And that's where we kind of want to think about how I want to handle the spokes. Maybe I will make them geometry. Maybe that way I don't have to go into Photoshop, make a texture that approximates it, or create a higher resolution version of it, take a photo of it by rendering it, and I can't actually, I mean, you can kind of render with Maya LT, but not really. So rather than deal with all those things, just having a cylinder with 3 sides, basically a triangle with a couple spokes popping out, is probably going to be more than enough for us in our example here. So we might just want to go with it. But what I will do is grab these verts, I'm going to pull these out, and I am going to insert, let's go to multi-cut. I'm going to insert some multi-cuts here so that I have something I can kind of pull out. So let's grab all of you, and I'm going to do an extrusion on these, just pull that out ever so slightly. So now I have something that's going to, you know, kind of look like it's holding on to that bar, even though it is the bar itself in the model world. Let's go ahead and grab all of this. Let's this view, frame on up. Let's go to X-ray, so shading X-ray, and I'm going to move this now somewhere close. Actually, can I get it right on? Looks like I can. Okay, and I'm going to move this in a bit as well. And now we just need to connect things up. Let's save this before I lose everything and my whole system crashes. So let's just call this popcorn cart. Enter. Should have probably put a 0 or a 1 after that or something, but it doesn't really matter right now. I'm going to need to cut this thing directly in half. So what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and just move this bar to the midpoint. I'm going to mirror this whole thing over to the other side, so there's no point in keeping that extra geometry over there. It's just going to get in my way, and I am going to delete those faces just in case that does something funky as well in the future. And now we need to make our spokes, which are going to connect from here out to here. We might also want to grab these objects really fast, go to Mesh Display, and do a soft harden edge so that we actually have the appropriate softening and hardening of our edges, although this part right here should be hard edged. So let's go to hard edge. There we go. Now that's separated those elements. Let us go ahead and grab a cylinder, a great big cylinder. You can tell I'm kind of working at the wrong scale, but we'll fix all that later on. It doesn't really matter. Now that I have a cylinder that'll act as one of my spokes, I can reduce this in quality vastly. So we can do, I don't know, 3. 3 might be a bit much. 4, I think I'll go with 4. So let's make that even thinner and pop that down on the bottom, move it over here, frame on up. And let's see, let's add a Edgeloop tool right here. Where's my tools? I never remember where the heck that stupid key is. There it is. I can't see over the webcam. There we are, and move this right there. Now I have a center point for reference, so I can grab this, F8, click, drag over there. Now I have my spoke. Let's go to X-ray mode, grab the, actually, you know what, face mode. Grab the bottom of the spoke, grab the top of the spoke, delete those faces as they're completely unnecessary. Grab them all and just tuck them inside of here and tuck them inside of here. Okay, F8, and we can turn X-ray back off now. So shading, X-ray, and let's see, that's properly set up. So now the question is, how many spokes do we actually want to have? And how do we want the spokes to truly be? Because in reality, the spokes would alternate in and out, sort of coming from the center line of the tire, but off to one side or the other side here. So actually you can kind of see it right there in the reference as it kind of goes in and then outwards to the inside and the outside of this thing. So do we want to be that accurate? No, we're not going to be that accurate today. We are just going to duplicate this thing and have it go all the way around. We're already being ridiculous with even having the spokes to begin with in here, so we might as well just go with it. We're going to hit the W key, go to D and V to snap to the center point of this thing. I want to hit Shift D, and I'm going to use the rotate tool now to create duplicates of this thing at an angle that makes enough spokes so it's busy, but not too many spokes. So you know what, that's not so bad. I just kind of freehanded that angle. You could have set an exact angle. You'll notice that this last angle is a little bit larger than the rest. And, you know, if we want to, we can go in here and just kind of fudge that ever so slightly so that less of that angle being off is noticed. And then no one will have any idea. Okay. And what we might want to do is grab, it's up to you. You can grab all the spokes and soften these if you want to. The problem is you're probably going to get black edges coming around because of how it's going to do things. So if we go to Mesh Display and do soft edges, see how you end up with this sort of always dark side to it, and that's because the normals are now blending around to the back side, and the back side with the default lighting inside of Maya means that it's going to be dark away from us, away from where we're looking, and so it looks like we've got sort of these dark edges coming around the other side. I'm going to leave it like that for the moment. We might want to change that later. Why don't we go ahead, grab this entire thing. This cart will not move, so there's no reason for me to worry about keeping these as separate game objects. So let me combine the wheel together. So I'm going to grab this, and this, and then this part, and I will fuse that together for now. So fuse, let's just call, oh God, look at all this transformation history. Edit, delete all by type history. Wow, there you go. And let's make this just a wheel, and it's not like it matters. We're going to hit space, go to mesh, why am I having problems? We're going to do a mirror, and I want to mirror this about the bounding box of the object. And if we look at our axes, it looks like it's going to be the negative x-axis. I'm going to hit apply, and there we go. So we've got our duplicate on the other side. Perfect. So now we've got our wheels. Great. I am going to go ahead and delete by type history on that because the transforms have a funny way of sticking around with mirroring, and if you start messing with things, you'll probably screw them up, as I've done countless times in the past. Okay. Next up, what do we got to do? We've got that little bit that breaks out up here. So what we can do is we can do this two different ways. We can either put some edges in here and pull them out, or we can create an entirely separate object and stick it on there. I'm just going to stick a couple extra edges on here, I think, and go with that. So we're going to do the top part of that, and we're going to want to do, well, let's do multi-cut. And it looks like it doesn't go very far, somewhere like right there. And actually, you know what? I'm going to thicken this entire thing up. Even though it's not really that thick in real life, I'm going to make it that thick just so that I don't have to insert a whole bunch of edge loops. I'd rather not. I'm going to grab all those, go to extrude, and extrude these out to here. And then the next thing I'm going to want to do is do another extrusion on these and pull them out. So actually, I'm going to take this, and let me see if this will work, and do that. So that will just pull that element out. And then now we've got pretty much that bit that we wanted to have before. Although it's still so thick compared to what it should actually be. So there are ways we can fix that. I was just trying to keep the geometry down because the scene already has way too much geometry. We're talking millions of polys, and we don't have a whole lot going on to keep them from not being ridiculous. So I'm going to do that really fast. That's going to thin those out. So that's better. Okay. Yeah, I'll go with it. Happy enough. Okay, so that's this side. Where am I reference? That's this side over here. Now we just need the other side. Those I'm probably just going to stick in rather than actually try to rip out of this thing. So first of all, let's create a cylinder. We're going to do a cylinder. We're going to rotate that 90 degrees. Go over here and do 90. And we're going to reduce this maybe down to 16. That's a good number, I guess. And keep this down scaled somewhere, maybe around there. And move this over here. So that's the center, spoke, pivot, whatever you want to call it. And what has to happen is this needs to get pulled outwards from it. So here, there's the actual cylinder, and then here we're going to actually cut into the cylinder and then extrude out the rest of this stuff, I think. So we might as well cut this thing in half because we're going to mirror it over again. So there's that. Get rid of that side and grab this half, pull that in a bit. Let's go ahead and go to multi-cut tool and add a couple multi-cuts there and there. And let's go to the side of this thing and see what we're dealing with. The whole thing, according to the reference materials, in on this, so something like that. So that's probably better for us. And this should be probably somewhere out here. I'm going to leave a little bit of handle coming out on the outside. I'm not going to quite follow the reference material exactly. I am going to have the bar go through it instead. That's just my personal preference. It's my model, I can do whatever the hell I want. So let's go ahead and not grab the things that are going to impact us. So I do not want any of that. And I do want, it looks like that. So what we can do now is go to extrusions, and I'm going to grab the whole thing and just pull it out this way. And you'll notice it's not perfect and the bottom's kind of messed up. We're going to fix that in just a second, I hope. I'm free handing the whole thing, so stuff might not always work. So see that? Yeah, right there. So that's because we came up and under. And actually, you know what? That's probably a little bit too much. Let's just do to there and pull out. And yeah, I'm going to grab all of these. Actually, I'm going to grab all these faces and delete the faces. And then I'm going to grab all of these and flatten the verts by using the scale tool. Great. And I'm going to move this over to here. So it's butting right up against that. And now what I can do is grab this edge down here at the bottom and pull that down like that. And I can go ahead and do that for each of these edges, or these vertex pairs, I should say. So there's the one on one side, frame up on it, and there's the one on the other side. And all I'm going to do now is hopefully select one of them. I still got extrude. Come on. Don't give me problems. You, and uh-oh. Yeah, we got an extrusion happening. Rogue extrusion. There we go. Pull that down. And I'm just going to even out the detail a little bit. That'll fix things for us, I think. There we go. And almost there, I'll just do this last one. Good enough. Okay, so now we've got that handle. And I'm just going to make sure we don't have any glitches on that side. We don't. That looks good. Now, the handle does go in on itself on this side. Once again, that's worthless detail as far as I'm concerned. Not going to do it. And we're going to duplicate this thing or mirror it. So mirror, so hold down spacebar, mesh, mirror, and hit apply. And there we go, close. Now we've got our bar. Great. I'm going to look at my history really fast and make sure it's not going crazy. Next up is the popcorn cage itself. This looks like it's made out of, let's pull this up here, a couple bars. So we've got the bottom piece, side piece. So, okay, a couple ways we can do this. We can actually make the individual pieces, or inside of Substance Painter, so long as we cut this thing up properly and know we're going to need vertical pieces that are going to basically be textured differently, we can apply this stuff very easily on that side and use normal mapping or bump mapping, whatever you want to call it, to cause creases in between the different material elements. That is going to save on poly count. It's going to save on a lot of stuff, so we might as well go ahead and do that. We are going to need to lift that popcorn logo if we want to use it from something. This image is a little low resolution for that. That font, though, might just be in Photoshop. We'll deal with that soon, though. And, of course, there's the glass itself on here. Do we want the glass or not? And that's going to be based upon how close we get to the glass. Let's put the glass in, see what happens. Okay, move this back to the side there, and okay. We are going to make this a separate object, box, just like before, D, moving the pivot to the bottom, and I'm going to line this up right there. Now I am going to make this ever so slightly smaller so that we get some deviation between this and the bottom of it. I don't want them to line up perfectly. And now what we're going to do is insert in our cuts. So the first cut I'm going to do is up here at the top, and that's going to be where the logo is. Then we're going to want the rest of our cuts. So let's do this. Insert Edgeloop Tool. I'm going to do 2 and do that. And I'm just going to freehand this. You can be more precise if you want to. I'm not going to worry about it because no one will ever be able to tell. I'm not in CAD right now. I can do whatever I want, so long as it looks pretty darn close. And I'm going to call that close. Okay, so we've got the space now for the red part here. We've got the space for the silver part over there. And we just need to cut the bottom bit out. There's going to be 2 levels to that, a silver level and then a red level. And the whole thing looks like it needs to be taller, so I am going to grab all of this and just raise that up before I hit before I go to multi-cut tool, and then go ahead and cut it somewhere like there, and then somewhere again right around there. Okay. Now, right now, this entire thing is hollow, or I mean, there's nothing inside. So why don't we grab these faces, and I am going to, okay. Shift right click, I'm going to do a extract faces for right now. So now they're extracted. So I can grab all of those, they're different objects, hit Control H to hide them. And now we're left with just what we have. We can grab all of these edges along the cuts we've just made, Shift right click and extrude, and I'm going to extrude them inwards. And I'm going to hit G again, and I'm going to see if this works. And it's looking like it is working. Getting them very close together. That's very good, right around there. Now I'm going to just go ahead and cross my fingers that those are close enough to merge together. I could painstakingly move each vertex by itself, but once again, I don't feel like it. And we're going to go to Shift right click, merge verts, and let me see. Yes, that merged them. We can see from this counter over here, we go from 100 verts down to 92 verts. So that's great. And if we wanted to make sure that these were lined up, we can grab that edge and try to flatten it to the other edge, the top one above it, if we're really concerned about it. But things should be very close. I mean, we extruded that very, very close to where it should be. You can see that moved like a pixel over. Whoops. Yeah, and then you'll probably make mistakes. Let's see here. And let's just move that one and constrain that one over there and constrain this one to that. All right. So now I can grab this entire edge, shift right click and fill that hole. And if I want to, I can extrude it up into the ceiling. I don't think I'm going to for this. What I can do though is do a bottom check, and I am trying to think how I want to handle the popcorn. Let's just fill that hole for now and make a kind of crappy looking plane and throw it in here and scale it down a little bit so it fits in here. And then we're just going to use the height tool. I'm going to go in here and maybe increase that up to, I don't know, 16 instead. And then shift right click. And what do I want? I want the paint tool. I haven't used this one in a bit. So this might take me a second here. So let's do, what do we want to do? I want to, no, I don't, I just need to go over here to tool. Let's see, move. I want move. And let's do, right, let's just do soft selection. That's going to be easy as well. Okay, grab a vertex. You can see our units are bad. I want to grab just parts of this and start kind of moving things up and around. And all I'm trying to do is get some sort of a surface in here that we're going to map our popcorn texture onto. Not really concerned about how exactly it looks. If we can, we'll take the popcorn texture and run it through that bitmap program. What is it called? Bitmap 2 material to try to get some normal maps going on that don't suck. See what happens, see if it looks good. All right, soft selection. Let's actually tone this down. And I'm gonna just kind of finesse these last couple points somewhere so that they're not horrible. That is pretty horrible, isn't it? I probably should be higher. Okay. Of course, this is contrary to going into ZBrush and like modeling out or creating some sort of a popcorn asset that you just throw all over the thing. You could definitely do that, now that I think about it. But I think this I have today to finish this entire project, and I've got a lot of other stuff to work on besides just this, so I'm probably not going to go that far. Somewhere. Okay. Actually, I want to grab, these are kind of high up. Okay, good enough. So we got our popcorn. I'm going to go to Edit, Delete All by Type, History really fast, and let's go to Modify, Show All, so that we get those outer planes. Now what I do want to put together really fast is there's a couple things I need to change. One is I've got this cut here that has no reason to be there. This one right down there. I'm going to turn off soft selection. What is it, the B key? Yeah. Hold down Control Backspace to delete that entire edge loop, which has no purpose anymore. Now what I want to do is move these into the center of this object And the easiest way to do that is probably just to go into Insert Edgeloop Tool, look at my tool settings, go to 1, and all I'm going to do really fast is make a couple cuts across this object. There and there, there and there. And I'm going to delete these cuts after I'm done. Oh, let's do that again. I'm just going to grab the plane now, each of the planes. We need to center their pivots, so modify center pivot, and grab it and move it inwards to that center point that we've now created. Oh, you know what? Is that... you know what? That center point... That's not a center point. That line is actually just on the inside. So here, let's go to shading, wireframe unshaded. So you can see there's a big problem there, actually. So I'm not going to worry about that too much. What I am going to do is just move this over there. And we are going to go ahead and get rid of these extra ones. I was dumb. I didn't need them. And save. Okay. So looking back on our popcorn, what we could do is if we wanted to, we could cut off these little black stubs on the top, put them in there. That might be interesting. I'm trying to see. There's obviously these popcorn containers. Oh, well, we're not done yet. We got to do this entire, the actual dispenser of popcorn. So that's going to be a bowl. That's a cylinder. And I'm just going to connect it with a vertical cylinder right there and do something with this. I'm not sure yet. It might be the texture that does most of the work on that one. I'm going to highly ignore most of the details on this thing because it's not on this. And I don't think it matters. So let's go ahead and get rid of these. Let's go to cylinder mode. Cylinder mode, that's not a mode. Let's just make a cylinder and scale it down, frame it up, move it up somewhere there, and scale this down and in, and move that up. And once again, do something like that. Let's make the top wider than the base. And let's grab this edge and bevel that edge. Whoa. Something like that might be good. And because it's got a lid with like different layers going on. I do need actually to undo something. I need to grab all this stuff. I'm going to bring it in and make it the same height as the outer part. I needed an extra ring that I didn't have. So now I've made myself an extra ring. Now I can use that ring to actually create the center spoke that goes up. So now that I have that, we can do an extrusion up and out to the top. That's kind of high poly for it, but, you know, I'd rather just keep it as one object at the moment than break it apart. I'm going to do D, V, snap to the top to align it there. I'm going to pop it up there to the top somewhere like that. And it's actually not centered. It looks like it's off center somewhere, kind of like over here to the side. So we'll do that. And once again, I'm going to grab these edges. I'm going to bevel them, way reduce down that fraction, add another segment in there. And, gosh. Now this is like where, how much do I want to do versus how much do I not want to do? I think I'm just going to leave it kind of basic. I am going to scale this out a little bit though. And let's grab this and scale that in ever so slightly. Getting picky, should stop. Make another cylinder for this tube thing, whatever it is. Maybe is it hot air or something? Or is it gas to cook the thing? Maybe. I'm not sure. WD, this is one of those times where I should probably just say no, don't do anymore. But I feel like something else is necessary to make this thing not look like I just threw it together in 2 seconds, which I have. So let's go here. I'm going to reduce this down to 16 edges. You know what? I'm going to reduce this down to 12 edges. And let's go to mesh display, soften the edges. I'm going to grab the bottom faces and do an extrusion inwards, G that down somewhere there. And this has to connect down to the bottom. So what we can do is go to curved surfaces. Let's create a curve. And I'm going to snap that, I guess, right there. And then I'm just going to bop, bop, and bop. And I know that these Make no sense in 3D world. Look at that. Isn't that great? Gotta love that. So what we are going to do, though, is go to the control vertex. I'm just going to move these over here now. All of you, go to scale mode. Scale you all back together. Move you over here. Where are you, sir? There you go. You're the outlier who's offending me. Move you up here. Frame up. I'm going to grab the cart, get rid of that for a second, grab this thing, and now work with it. So control vertex, I'm going to grab this and get rid of that, and get rid of that, and move you somewhere that makes sense. So it's going to be, you're the end of this thing, so you go on the bottom. So I'm just going to stick it right there, and then we just got to find, what is it, up and down keys, there we go, to move them around easily. So we're going to move that one somewhere there, and then this one can go up and over here, and then the next one can go over and in right there, and then the last one, which is a giant mess, can go down and over here. And that's probably okay, although the actual reference looks like it should be a lot shorter, so I should probably try to do that really fast. Just pull it all into together, something like that. And then where's that other one? There it is. Hard to see sometimes. Okay, good enough. So now what we do is grab this, grab all the faces up here, and we are going to shift right click, extrude, make that a little bit smaller. Then I'm going to grab this. I'm going to hit G. Whoops. Yes, that's what I want to do. I'm going to grab, easiest thing to do is to grow the selection, then shrink the selection twice, and then grab this curve, and then extrude face. Oh, come on. I want to do it on the curve. Come on. There we go. That's better. Face mode. I had too many components selected. You, and extrude face. They change how this stupid thing works. Come on, George. Did they? No, I must be doing something wrong. Shrink, shrink. Grab the curve. Mesh. Edit mesh. Extrude. Extrude. Curve settings, selected. There we go, apply. Now that I've got the curve, let's go to, let's see, we want to go over here. We want to do divisions. Increase that maybe to 10. We do not want it to taper. Why is it tapering? Why is this being stupid? Offset key faces together, divisions, twist, taper, smoothing angle, thickness, pivot. Why is this doing dumb stuff? All right, you know what? Fine. You want to be dumb? You can be dumb. I don't mind. That's going to be a problem. So what we're going to do is delete these ones and then extrude it manually. Okay. So obviously I forgot how to use a tool and I look like an idiot, but that's fine. I'll have to I remember that being a heck of a lot easier. Let's just grab this now, extrude, and pull it up. Nope. World mode. And just shove it in. If anything looks too bad, like this one right here, all we can do is grab it and bevel the edge, and it will automatically flat, make it easier for us to work with. If we care about, anything like that. That one was one of the worst ones, I would say. I wouldn't go too much into it. If anything, I might want to just take like all of this and maybe just in screen space move the whole thing over a little bit. I am making kind of potentially big mistakes by doing everything in screen space. But whatever. Okay. I think I'm just going to let that... It does... Gosh. Edit, delete by type, history. Get rid of that stupid curve. You piss me off, curve. I don't like you. I don't like how it snakes around. It's too thin. It gets thinner as it goes, which isn't right. So I do feel like I need to go through and thicken some of these elements. This is where I'm going to waste time getting picky about a feature that no one is ever going to care about. I want to get just a tiny bit picky here. All right, whatever. Display, show all. Yes. Okay, now, well, we're going to take a break because this video has gone on for long enough. And we are going to rename everything, delete our history, set up the UVs, and then get this thing out of here for us to work somewhere else. All right, so thank you all for watching. This was a little bit different with the webcam and all. We'll see if I do anything else like that. I don't know if I will. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. So long, goodbye.